If you just got a Quest 2, Quest 3, or Quest 3S for Christmas, here's a bunch of free games you can try out right now. First off, we got Downshot VR, which is a lot like a free multiplayer Bone Lab on Quest. Vertical Shift, a fast, fun, tagging-based game. Sail VR, which is now completely free and is a lot like a Sea of Thieves, but in VR. Grapple Tournament, a fast-paced FPS game with a lot of different game modes and cosmetics. Cactus Cowboys, Plants at War, that brings you through a World War II type scenario where you're a cactus, and it has a really funny campaign. Polar Dread, which is like a free FNAF fan-made game. Just another cooking game where you get to make burgers for robots, and it reminds me a lot of Job Simulator. X8, which is basically like copy and paste Valorant, but in VR. Cards and Tankers, which is a lot like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Hearthstone, and you actually get to place cards on a table and see your cards come to life as you battle people. Big Ballers VR that has a lot of different sports inside of it that you can try in virtual reality. Dead Man's Quest that brings you through an entire storyline to figure out how you died. Paintball Playground, which is basically a paintball simulator, but in VR. Rager, which is kind of like Beat Saber, but instead of only slashing through blocks, you actually have people coming at you, and you have to attack them or block in certain ways. CQB Training Arena, which brings you through an entire training area where you have to go through corners and be able to release hostages and take out enemies. Nightmare Tag, where you either get to be a monster or a survivor, and you're trying to get away from the monsters. Hyperdash, a fun, fast-paced FPS game in VR. Warriors of Titus, which is basically its own first-person League of Legends in VR. Mindscope, a roguelike game with a really unique art style where you get to go through different levels and battle enemies. Yeeps Hide and Seek, which is another tagging-based game, but it has a lot of different unlockables and progression in there. V-Streamer Live, where you actually get to create your own VTuber avatar. Rogue Aces VR, where you get to fly a plane and take out any kind of anti-air defenses on the ground. Suck It, where you go through different levels and try to absorb more items than the other players that you're facing off against. Lurking Shadows, where you have to make deliveries in the dark, and there's some stuff that's creeping around in there that you don't want to meet. Shootout, a really unique FPS game where you actually get to combine different aspects of power-ups to make unique weapons. Tiny Castles, a short hand-tracking game where you actually get to be a god with different types of powers. Tunnels, a horror-based game where you have to crawl through different tunnels underground and there's a monster in there trying to get you. Claw Ball, which is a lot like Gorilla Tag mixed with Rocket League, but everybody plays as cats. Grab, a massive sandbox parkour game with a lot of different things you can do in there. Ultimex, which is a little bit like Rocket League, but everybody plays as giant mechs. And Cube Arena, which is a VR MOBA game. I hope this helped you and your friends find some new games to play, and make sure to follow the channel for more VR videos.